The Forsaken Heir. Episode 85. Cynthia was already furious. She gritted her teeth and shouted, "Charlie! Don't think that I, Cynthia, can be muddled. In the Wade family, my status is much higher than you. You better respect me." Charlie ignored her, but pointed to Orville and pointed to the empty seat beside Cynthia. Orville understood, and immediately escorted Regner to Cynthia's side. Afterwards, Charlie stretched out his hand, took off Regner's headgear, and smiled slightly when he looked at him. "Hello, Mr. Regner, we meet again." "Wade." "Charlie." At this moment, Regner's whole person seemed to be split back and forth by thunder from the outside to the inside. He couldn't imagine that Charlie would actually appear in front of him. Could it be? Is it that he is behind all this today? How could he have so much energy? Seeing his horrified expression, Charlie said with a smile, "Mr. Regner, it's been a long time, but let me introduce you to the shrew next to you first." Cynthia observed Charlie with splitting eyes, gritted her teeth and said, "Charlie! Don't go too far." Charlie ignored her and continued to speak to Regner. "This shrew's real name is not Roxa, but Cynthia. She is the eldest daughter of Wade's family, and also my father's sister and my aunt." "What?" Regner seemed to explode a nuclear bomb in his heart. His scared voice trembled and said, "You? Oh no, you! Are you really, you are really the Wade family?" Charlie smiled, "I am indeed the Wade family man, but it's nothing great." Regner shivered in a cold sweat and said, "Master, why didn't you just say your identity? If I knew that you are from that great family, I will definitely be the only one looking forward to it. Even if you give me 10,000 courage, I dare not fight against you." Charlie smiled and said, "Regner, don't be so scared, look at you, your face is pale. This Wade family, it's not as scary as you think." With that, he pointed to Cynthia beside him, and said, "Look, didn't you tie up Wade's daughter?" Regner was frightened and waved his hand again and said, "Master, you must not say that. This matter is entirely a matter of Noah and Harold, and they told me that they were tying Elaine. I didn't tell them to tie Ms. Wade. After I came, I realized that they were so courageous and tied Ms. Wade too." Charlie pointed at Cynthia and asked Regner, "Did you beat her just now?" Regner looked like a dead father, choked up and said, "I was wrong, I really didn't know the true identity of Ms. Wade." Charlie smiled and said, "Miss of Wade family, is it fun?" Regner shook his head like a rattle. Cynthia on the side looked so ugly and unbearable. Regner was frightened, and choked, "Master, I really didn't know the identity of you and Ms. Wade. Otherwise, how can I dare to think of you too badly?" Charlie looked at Regner at this time and asked, "Mr. Regner, have you ever thought about what will happen to the Wu family after today?" When Regner heard this, his whole body trembled violently. How can he not know the next fate of the Wu family? Cynthia would definitely fight with him. And the Wade family will definitely stand up for her. The Wu family in its heyday was not enough to look at in front of the Wade family, not to mention the current Wu family, whose strength was mostly defeated by Charlie. At this time, in front of the Wade family, even the Wu were not counted as ants. Regner even felt that the Wade family might destroy his tortured family. Thinking of this, he immediately choked up and pleaded, "Master and Ms. Wade, I didn't know your excellency and accidentally offended you. Please forgive me, both of you." Cynthia was hating Charlie into her bones, but she didn't dare to be too angry, so she directed all the anger at Regner, gritted her teeth and cursed, "The surname is Wu. Today, I, Cynthia, will definitely not spare you. Wait, I will let you die without a place to bury you." Regner almost collapsed when he heard this. Damaged family reputation and shrinking assets are acceptable. However, if the Wade family really wants to smash him to the end, how can he be able to handle it? If the family is really ruined at that time, it will be all over. Thinking of this, he immediately looked at Charlie with red eyes, and pleaded to cry, "Master, please help me. This time is really a misunderstanding. If the Wade family can forgive me, I would like to confess all of my business's 20% shares. I only ask you and Ms. Wade to raise your hands." Cynthia gritted her teeth and said, "Don't say your 20% shares, even if it is 50% or 100%. In my eyes, it's not." Charlie waved his hand, "Don't, even is not counted in your eyes, it's pretty much in my eyes." After he finished speaking, he immediately said to Regner, "Mr. Regner, you not only kidnapped mother-in-law but also my aunt. I am really a double victim of your actions today. Let's adjust the 20% to 40%, in the future. Follow my orders and I promise that the Wade family will not trouble you." When Regner heard this, his heart was joyful and sad. The good news is that now that Charlie has proposed a solution, he and the Wu family still have a chance to live. Sadly, Charlie showed that he was cutting his own meat with a knife, and 40% of the shares were almost equivalent to cutting the entire Wu family. Cynthia was reluctant at this time. She has suffered too many grievances and disasters today. And she couldn't do anything to Charlie, so the only object of catharsis was Regner. If Charlie blocked Regner's catharsis, wouldn't she have to find the father and son who kidnapped him? However, those are just two little guys, what can she do even if she kill their whole family? Thinking of this, she yelled angrily, "Charlie! Whether to trouble him or not, it is not you who has the final say, but I have the final say. It is your grandfather who has the final say." Charlie said lightly, "I have already given Regner a solution for this matter. As long as he agrees, it will be useless for any of you to object." With that, Charlie looked at Cynthia, his voice suddenly increased by an octave, and he said coldly, "Also, don't you think that I have not been in the Wade family for so many years, so I can let your Wade family at the mercy of me, let alone take me? When the marriage partner asks me to go back to help the Wade family cling to other powerful people, I will never give the Wade family this opportunity. So, if you dare to calculate me behind my back next time, don't blame me for disregarding my blood. Whether it is you or the other people in the Wade family, I will not let go." Cynthia was frightened by Charlie's eyes and tone, but she roared incomparably, "Charlie! Do you think you have the ability to challenge the Wade family now? Your Emgrand Group, your 10 billion cash, no, is it all given by the Wade family? The Wade family can hold you up and step on you. If there is no Wade family, you are just a stinky rag without any foundation. With the strength of the Wade family, you can be destroyed. Destroying Regner is 10 times, 100 times easier for your case." Charlie looked at her hysterical self, raised his eyebrows, and asked playfully, "Oh? Really?" Cynthia's self-esteem was deeply stung by Charlie's playful eyes. She gritted her teeth and shouted, "Of course. Do you think I was joking with you? If you continue to be so ignorant of praise, toasting and not eating and drinking fine wine, I promise you will be finished sooner or later. Not only you are finished, your wife, and your mother-in-law, and all the people around you are going to die." Speaking of this, Cynthia has also completely exploded. She shouted hoarsely like a shrew, "I tell you, your parents were lucky back then, and they could return to Waderist's grave when died. If you die in the future, you don't even have the qualifications to enter the Wade family ancestor's grave." Charlie's expression suddenly became extremely gloomy. He looked at Cynthia and said lightly, "You are my father's biological sister, so I can't beat you." Cynthia sneered and said, "Do you still know that I am your father's sister? Don't you hurry up and respectfully treat me." Before Cynthia finished speaking, Charlie immediately said to Orville, "Mr. Orville, you have no blood relationship with her, give me her mouth." Orville immediately said loudly, "Yeah, master." After that, he immediately rushed over and grabbed Cynthia by the collar. Cynthia was taken aback and threatened, "Do you dare to hit me? I will definitely kill you in the future." Orville slapped the face and Cynthia's two posterior teeth. He said coldly, "Master gave me my life. Even if Master asks me to kill the king, I will never blink, not to mention you uneducated Zen." After that, it was another slap in the face. Orville had long been so angry with Cynthia's attitude towards Charlie, he finally waited until Charlie agreed. Naturally he was merciless. Cynthia was stunned by these two slaps. She was furious and angry, and shouted like crazy, "You will all die! All of you will die!" Charlie looked at her and said coldly, "If you have investigated me carefully, you should know why I am revered as master in Oris Hill. If you have investigated me seriously, then you should also know why the 8 heavenly kings sent by Regner were completely wiped out by me under Chinbai Mountain." Having said that, Charlie smiled and continued, "If you have investigated me seriously, you should know that I just went to Japan a few days ago. As for the things that happened in Japan some time ago, I think you should know it." Cynthia's complexion continued to change dramatically, becoming more and more frightened and paler. Charlie observed at her, and then asked, "Don't you want me to go back and marry Sarah? Then you didn't think about it. My father's best friend Philip was already dying. Why could he suddenly become alive and well? Is there really any SHT medical miracle?" After speaking, Charlie pointed to Orville and continued to question, "At the beginning, Mr. Orville was in Classic Mansion and was almost killed by Regner's men. With the last breath, how did he come alive? Do you know?" Cynthia's expression is as pale as paper. At this time, Charlie didn't conceal his aura, filled his whole body with it, and shouted very aggressively, "If you haven't thought about these problems before, then please use your mind now and think about it. Think about it. After thinking it through, come tell me again, between the two of us, it is you who could kill me, or is it me who can kill you?" Cynthia was immediately stunned by the momentum on Charlie and what he had said. Wade family did investigate many things about Charlie in Oris Hill. However, many clues obtained are not sufficient. For example, they know that Charlie seems to be very strong, but they have not had a clear understanding of how strong it is. They also knew about Regnar's death at the foot of Chenbai Mountain, but they didn't know who did it. And Philip, who was in the late stage of pancreatic cancer, suddenly recovered his health, and it seemed like a decade back in time. The entire upper class of East Cliff was eager to know the reason, and wanted to know what kind of chance Philip encountered. However, everyone investigated for a while, and no one got any effective information. Now, when Charlie said this suddenly, Cynthia asked in horror, "These things have something to do with you?" Charlie snorted coldly, "What does it mean to have something to do with me? These things are all done by me." At this time, even Regnar was shocked with nothing to add. The death of the 8 great heavenly kings caused the Wu family to suffer a great loss, but they still don't know how the 8 great heavenly kings died. Now, he finally understood. It turned out that the 8 heavenly kings were all dead in Charlie's hands. He couldn't help but deepen his soul torture him. How powerful is this Charlie? Cynthia was also shocked. Regnar couldn't hear what Charlie said, what happened in Japan some time ago, but Cynthia knew it. The 3 major families in Japan reshuffled almost overnight. One was wiped out, and the other half was wiped out. Only one Ito family remained almost intact. The patriarch Takehiko lost his legs. Behind this, there is an extremely powerful master who killed countless ninjas and even saved Xiuan's Haifei brothers and sisters. Could it be Charlie? Charlie pointed to Regnar and asked Cynthia, "Do you know that Regnar has a son named Wu Qi, who was in Oris Hill some time ago? He must eat tea every hour like a demon?" Regnar's expression instantly became extremely pale. And Cynthia was also shocked. Although the Wu family is far from being famous in East Cliff. However, Wu Qi, the second son of Regnar, is very famous in East Cliff. Mainly because of that time, the short video platform has been pushing Wu Qi related videos. Now everyone knows him in the whole country. At that time, the top masters of several major families all analyzed this matter and believed that Wu Qi must be a master who can endure the sky, and made a very strong psychological suggestion. Cynthia asked herself inwardly, could it be that Charlie did that too? Regnar had also collapsed at this time. He suppressed his anger, choked and said, "Master, my youngest son has always been sensible. He just studied in Oris Hill peacefully and did not do any bad things. Why did you harm him so badly?" Charlie glanced at Regnar, slapped his face severely, and angrily reprimanded, "Your son takes pleasure in playing with and ruining innocent girls. If he has enough play with the girls he doesn't stop, but they have to use the psychological hints to brainwash and force each other to commit suicide. This kind of stupid behavior, everyone can be punishable. Now you are licking your face to tell me that your son who is not as good as a beast has always been sensible and has not done any bad things. Who gave you the courage?" Regnar was reprimanded by Charlie, and he dared not look up. He naturally knew these things about Wu Qi. But he originally thought that it was all between his son and other girls. Even if he did harm a few girls, after all, he did not harm Charlie and the people around Charlie. Why did Charlie hurt him? However, seeing Charlie so furious at the moment, he realized that the sense of justice in Charlie's heart was far beyond his imagination. Charlie observed at Regner at this time, and said coldly, "Regner, Auntie wanted to kill you, but I didn't expect you to be so irreconcilable. In this case, I am also taking 40% of your assets. If no, I will let the Wade family dispose of you at will in the future." Regner burst into tears suddenly. He was still carrying his hands behind his back, but he immediately leaned forward and knelt on the ground. While kowtowing heavily, he cried and begged, "Master, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. My son is indeed guilty of death. You being able to spare him a dog's life is already a great kindness. It is because there is no eye and no way to discipline him. Please be merciful and forgive me once." Charlie said coldly, "You have no way to discipline, more than this one." Having said that, Charlie asked again, "Your brother-in-law Nanshan committed countless crimes. You, as the head of the first family in Oris Hill, Nanshan committed these things by pulling your banner. It all happened under your nose. You know in your heart, why didn't you stop him? If you led him to the right path earlier, he hadn't poisoned so many people, and I hadn't let him sink in the river." Regner was shocked. At this time, he immediately realized that Charlie did the thing that the original brother-in-law Nanshan and the entire top of the beggar gang were destroyed. So Regner didn't care about the shock, and cried, "I'm sorry, Master. I do have an inescapable responsibility for this matter. I knew he was doing these things at first, so I wanted to stop it, but my wife cried and hanged up with me 3 times, my heart softened, just thinking, anyway, I don't participate in it myself, so he can do whatever he wants. I never expected it, because of this, just committed a terrible mistake." Charlie gritted his teeth and said, "You did commit a terrible mistake. How many children and families Nanshan destroyed? Part of each of these debts is recorded on your book of deeds. With your crimes look, even if I kill you now, the 9 heavens gods will make atonement for what you have done in your next life and the next life. Let your 9th reincarnation suffer all the suffering in the world." Regner's crying nose and tears flowed, and his voice trembled, "Master, I really know that I was wrong. Please give me a chance to correct the evil. I am willing to hand over 60% of the Wu family's assets. I have a chance to take the lead, the Wu family will do everything for you from today." Charlie waved his hand, "It's not just about money anymore. If you really want to correct the evil, I can give you a chance, depending on whether you can accept it." When Regner heard this, he squatted his head and said, "Master, please tell me. I will do my best to seize this opportunity." Charlie said coldly, "Change 40% of your family assets to Mr. Orville, and Mr. Orville will hold it in the future, and another 20% will be used for charity to make up for the evil your brother-in-law Nanshan has done over the years." Orville blurted out, "Master, how can this be done? You gave me life, and if you want to give me these assets, they are also given to you. How can you give me?" Charlie said lightly, "If Mr. Regner agrees to this solution, you will take 40% first." Regner dared to say nothing, and nodded hurriedly, "You can rest assured, Master, I will do this today." Charlie said again, "Regner, from today, you are Mr. Orville's person. If Mr. Orville asks you to go east, you must go east. The direction is halfway off. I want your Wu family to completely disappear in the south of the Yangtze River? Regner didn't dare to say half a word, nodded hurriedly and said, You can rest assured, Master. Master Orville will be my master in the future. Charlie said to Orville, Mr. Orville, take care of him in the future. He dares to have any disobedience, tell me immediately. Mr. Orville hurriedly said, Master, don't worry, I will. As for Regner's shares, Mr. Orville will hold it for you temporarily. Charlie nodded slightly. Immediately, he looked at Cynthia, whose cheek was swollen by Orville, and said lightly, Auntie, since you are here, you will stay in Oris Hill for a long time and wait until the new year to go back. But your nephew, I have been busy recently. I'm not going to visit, I wish you a happy new year in advance. Having said that, Charlie became serious and warned, This is the end of today's business. If you let me know that you dare to do any small actions behind my back, then don't blame me for being rude to you. Cynthia observed Charlie and wanted to say something to support the scene, but when the words came to her lips, she couldn't say it all at once. She found that Charlie's character was too similar to his father, that is, her second brother Changjing. Why was Changjing so famous back then? He looks like a weak scholar, but he can stand in front of the army. As long as it is what he decides to do, he has never given up and failed. Even if the whole world stands in front of him, he has to blaze a trail. Therefore, there was a saying in the upper-class society of Eastcliff, Wade family has a son, who can do anything. Mention Changjing, even his opponent would give him a thumb in his heart. At that time, he was the most dazzling new star of the Wade family. Now, Cynthia realized that she had actually seen the aura on Charlie's body. Therefore, at this moment, deep in her heart, she felt a little awe of Charlie. It was also at this moment that she knew that she could no longer offend this nephew who hadn't seen her for many years, otherwise, she really didn't know if he would really kill off his relatives. So, she could only smash her teeth and swallow in her belly. After a long while, she was aggrieved and said, Charlie, I will listen to you about this matter today. I will not pursue your mother-in-law or Regner. Having said this, she almost begged, but, you can no longer protect the father and son who tied me up, right? Auntie has suffered so many crimes today, and you have to tell Auntie. After speaking, Cynthia thought of her series of tragic experiences today, her nose sour, and tears came down. She was really miserable today. She wanted to ask Elaine and impress her with her attitude, and bought her by the way, but she didn't expect to be hit by Elaine. Then Harold, Noah led them to this place, then Regner came again and beat her up. He almost shot her up with a single shot, causing her to pee in H3R pants. She hadn't suffered any bitterness in her life, so she tasted the sufferings of the world today. And what was even more annoying was that she had never fought with Elaine before, and was slapped in the face by her. She wanted to kill her to relieve her anger, but she was Charlie's mother-in-law, so she couldn't get revenge on her. Regner now offers most of his family property and is willing to be Charlie's running dog. In this way, only the Wilson family father and son can be retaliated against. Charlie frowned when he heard this and asked Orville, "What's the situation with Noah and Harold now?" Orville said, "These two people's arms and legs were smashed by Regner's men. They have become useless." Master will tell me what to do next with them. There is no doubt that Charlie does not have a half-hearted relationship with Noah and Harold. However, hearing that the two of them had their limbs broken, the anger in Charlie's heart was mostly gone. No one knows the Wilson family better than him. Although each of them looks abominable, they are not even heinous villains. Horia used to pit Elaine before. A large part of the reason was that when Elaine was playing cards at a friend's house, she met Horia and Noah who came to see the house. Then Elaine mocked them and made Horia a lot. Their mentality collapsed and wanted to cheat Elaine's money. Now Noah and Harold kidnapped Elaine and wanted to send her to the Black Brick Kill, also in order to repay the hatred of sending Horia to the Black Coal Kill. To be honest, Elaine is still blocking his guns to a certain extent. In the final analysis, the Wilson family is really bad, but it has not yet reached the point where it must die. Moreover, Charlie really didn't like his aunt who was troublesome and meddling. If he really let her kill Noah and Harold to vent her anger, it would be cheaper for her. It would be better to let her keep holding on to this fire and have nowhere to vent. Grind her annoying character. So Charlie said, "What Noah and Harold say are my wife's uncle and cousin, my father-in-law's brother and nephew. If you kill them, such a big funeral, our family will pass a good year?" Cynthia hurriedly said, "Wait after the new year to slaughter the two of them, right?" Charlie waved his hand, "My wife has a softer heart. If they really die, she will definitely be sad, so let them live." When Cynthia heard this, she was anxious and uncomfortable, and blurted out, "They made me like this, you must let them out like that." Charlie frowned and asked, "How do you calculate your breath? Both of them have lost their limbs. I'm afraid they can only lie in bed to eat and drink for a few months. Can't you breathe out?" "I can't get out," Cynthia said indignantly. "If I don't kill them, I won't be able to get out with such a bad breath." Charlie shouted angrily, "If you can't get it out, just hold on to it." The roar made Cynthia's liver tremble. Charlie glared at her fiercely, and asked in a cold voice, "It's obviously you who caused trouble first, and you will kill others at every turn. Who gives you the stinking troubles you are used to?" Cynthia's expression was very depressed, and she choked, "I grew up so old, and I have never suffered such a big loss today." Charlie said coldly, "Then just let you have a taste today, and this is just the first dish. Your character, if you don't change it, you will lose money in the future." After that, Charlie waved his hand a little irritably, "I don't want to tell you so much nonsense. In short, this is the end of today, and I will never allow you to spread this matter in any direction. Otherwise, only you are asking for trouble. Did you understand?" Seeing that Charlie's expression didn't mean joking with her, Cynthia couldn't help but play a little drum. She realized this matter today, she was afraid that she would not be able to find her place. Otherwise, with Charlie's character, he would never spare her. So she could only say dejectedly, "Okay, I understand." Charlie nodded and said to Orville, "Mr. Orville, quickly arrange a self-built house in the village in the city, and settle down my aunt, who has come from afar, so that people will keep an eye on her for 24 hours. She will never leave the house for the next 7 days. Half a step, as soon as 7 days arrive, I will send her to the airport and let her go back." Orville nodded immediately, "Master, don't worry, I will do it properly. Charlie looked at Regner again. Report everything to Mr. Orville in the future. Don't make any small actions, do you understand? Regner hurriedly squatted his head and said, Master, don't worry. From today onwards, I will follow your and Mr. Orville's instructions. Charlie said again, by the way, Thompson first grade A06, did you buy it? Regner said awkwardly, yes, I bought it. Charlie asked him, you bought this villa for the Wilson family, did you come to make me sick? Yes. Regner said nervously, Master, this is my fault. Don't worry, I will take back the villa and let the Wilson family get out. Don't. Charlie waved his hand and said, it's so boring to get them out. You are like this. First, stop all the businesses of the Wilson Group and withdraw all the investment you gave them. I still want them to return to the previous one. Although this species lives in Thompson first grade, it actually has nothing at all. Regner said without hesitation, okay, Master, I will make arrangements today. Charlie nodded with satisfaction, okay, Mr. Orville, you arrange the accommodation for my aunt, Regner will go and arrange the affairs of the Wilson Group. As for Noah and Harold, don't turn around to the relevant departments, and go directly to the hospital. Go ahead. The two hurriedly agreed to him respectfully. Cynthia's expression on the side was extremely ugly. But ugly is ugly, she now dare not have any emotion of resistance. Therefore, she could only say angrily, Charlie, look at your aunt, who was also injured and 2 teeth were lost. You can send me to the hospital first. Charlie nodded, it's okay to send you to the hospital, but you should not make any wrong ideas, otherwise, it is not as simple as leaving. In that case, you will have to live in the Orris Hill for a long time, maybe a year or half. Cynthia couldn't help but shudder when she heard this. Charlie arranged for her in the village in the city, basically the same as under house arrest. The environment there must be extremely bad, and it would be a great torment to stay for a day, and she would simply collapse if in for a long time. If it is a year, it is really better to die. Therefore, she can only honestly say, don't worry, since your aunt has said and listened to your instructions, I will never do anything else. Charlie said to Orville, then arrange for my aunt to go to the hospital for treatment first, and don't set the teeth in Orris Hill. Let her go back to East Cliff and do it there. Orville immediately agreed, okay, Master. Immediately afterwards, Orville asked Cynthia and Regner to be put in different vehicles, and then sent to the warehouse to take out the broken limbs of Noah and Jacob. At this time, the two of them were lying on the cold concrete floor and had completely collapsed. The father and son cried in the warehouse for a long time, and they almost dried up all their tears. Harold felt so depressed and lost in his heart, sobbing like a child, I originally wanted to teach Elaine to please Regner, but I didn't expect that the other lady who was caught by us with Elaine turned out to be a transnational fraud. Besides, this scammer is so good to make up, she even made up a set of so-called rich master status for Charlie, makes my dad and I believe it. Even Regner believed the nonsense of that stinky woman. Regner, you old dog, if you say you believe it, you can believe it, but there is no need to abolish the father and son in order to please her. We both were serving you, and you can't be so right no matter what. What is this? At this time, in Harold's heart, he had already regretted that his intestines were green. Being beaten into a waste by Regnar's men is actually not the worst. After all, it only takes a few months to recover after being injured. The worst thing is that the International Criminal Police who came just now said that they would be handed over to the local authorities. If they were really handed over, the kidnapping charges on the father and son would definitely be inevitable. This charge is a felony. Sentencing starts with 10 years. Thinking that he might stay in prison for 10 years, Harold's emotions have completely collapsed. When being lifted out by Orville's men, Harold choked up with his nose and tears. "May I ask the comrades of the Interpol, could it be, is it that we are really going to be sent to authorities? Are we going to jail? We were both instigated by others. The real man behind the scenes is Regnar." Noah also cried bitterly, "Although we father and son are wrong, we have already paid a painful price. Can you please raise your hands high and give us father and son a way of life?" Harold turned around hard, looked at his father with red eyes, and cried out, "Dad, I don't want to go to jail, Dad." With tears on his face, Noah choked and said, "When the time comes, you will push everything to Dad. You will say that everything is Dad's idea. You don't know anything. Try to make the judge lighter." When Harold heard this, he burst into tears. The father and son cried, and the scene suddenly became a little too noisy. Orville came over at this time and said coldly to the two of them, "Don't cry. If you cry again, you will be sent to prison." As soon as Harold heard this, he asked incredulously, "Comrade Interpol, what do you mean, you don't send us to jail?" Mr. Orville said coldly, "Fortunately for you two, we must keep the arrest of Roxa absolutely confidential, so we cannot let people from other departments know about it for the time being. So today you kidnapped Elaine and Roxa. It will not be communicated to local agencies." "Really?" When Harold heard this, his whole body twitched with excitement. However, because of the twitching, the severe pain in his limbs became more severe, so he kept wailing. Although his mouth was screaming in pain, Harold's heart was extremely excited. In any case, a prison sentence is finally removed. The Thompson Villa at this moment. Mrs. Wilson was lying on the sofa in the living room of Villa A06. While watching the time, she said to Wendy, who was sitting on the other side, "Why haven't your father and your brother figured it out yet? There has been no movement for so long." Wendy said, "Maybe they can't take care of it. After all, there are quite a lot of things. Not only they have found someone to give Elaine to that person, but also filmed the video and sent her to the black brick factory." Mrs. Wilson nodded gently, and said with a smirk, "This Elaine, she's really drifting recently. She's always floating in the sky. It's really a bit ungrounded, so she should also experience it. What is civil suffering?" Wendy smiled and said, "Yes, Grandma, Elaine, this peesh woman, I hate her a long time ago, especially since she is so terrible this time, I can't wait to break her leg again." As she said with a look of nostalgia, "It was interesting when I was in the cell. That Gina, the 5 big and 3 rough, could not wait to take Elaine's feces out with a slap. Elaine was really miserable at that time. Thinking about it, I still get excited." Mrs. Wilson also nodded again and again, and said happily, "Oh, Gina, the rural lady, really has two strengths. That woman is as strong as a cow. To deal with Elaine, one can beat her. She on her own was enough. Wendy sighed on the side. It's a pity that Elaine will be sent to the Black Brick Kiln to burn bricks soon, and Gina hasn't come out yet. After she comes out, she may never see Elaine again in this life. Who said no? The old lady also sighed, but it doesn't matter. When Elaine arrives at the Black Brick Kiln, there will be endless suffering waiting for her. At this time, Oris Hill Women's Detention Center. Gina, who was in the cell, suddenly sneezed. Several entourages hurried over and asked diligently, "Sister Gina, what's wrong with you? Have you caught a cold?" Gina rubbed her nose. "Don't know, maybe someone misses me." The woman next to her smiled and said, "Who would think of us like us prisoners who have no relatives and no cause?" "Yes." The other person also echoed, "This will be the Chinese New Year right away, and no one in my family has ever visited me. It really makes me chill." After that, she looked at Gina and asked, "Sister Gina, how long will you get before you get released?" Gina smacked and said, "Hey, it's still 5 or 6 months. That's too soon, I'm still 8 months away. I'm 4 months. Hey, you can't spend the new year at home this year, and it should be fine next year." Gina sighed. Mom is gone, the husband also ran away with the Zen, and my brother's family is a tortoise again. I don't even have a family member in this world. Having said this, Gina's eye circles suddenly reddened, and she choked up, "Hey! Looking at the new year, I couldn't burn some paper money for the old lady. Don't know how she lived there and whether she has enough money. Hey! It's cold today, don't know if she and my dad have the money to celebrate the new year. Sister Gina, don't think about it. After you go out, there will be opportunities to burn paper for your parents." Gina nodded lightly, and couldn't help sighing, "Actually, I still miss that old lady. Seeing how she was bullied, I remember how pitiful Mom was when she was bullied by my sister-in-law when she was alive. Looks like, in this heart, there is a burst of pain." After speaking, she asked several other people, "You said, what is Mrs. Wilson doing now? When she came in, she didn't even have a place to sleep. How is life now? Shouldn't she still wander in the street?" As they were talking, the prison guard suddenly came over and said to a few of them, "Gina, Tabia, and Lexi, the 3 of you pack up and are ready to be released." The 3 of them were stunned. Gina asked in surprise, "Preparing to be released from prison? Isn't it time for me?" The prison guard said, "Someone has already handled the bail pending trial for you. You can be released today." "Ah!" Gina said in surprise, "Don't know anyone who will help me get a bail pending trial." The prison guard said indifferently, "Your old acquaintance, Mrs. Wilson, asked someone to do it. She paid a lot of deposit for the 3 of you." Gina was even more surprised and speechless. She opened her mouth wide and thought for a long time before she asked in disbelief, "Mrs. Wilson? Isn't she miserable? Where can she get the money to help us get the bail pending trial?" The prison guard laughed and said, "That Mrs. Wilson is amazing now. I heard that the family business has come back to life, and the family has also moved into the luxury villa of Thompson. It is said that they have arranged to let you go to Thompson. Good day. When Gina and others heard this, they were all shocked and dumbfounded. At the same time, it is even more excited and ecstatic. She asked, Mrs. Wilson got her daughter-in-law's first-grade Thompson villa? The prison guard said lightly, she bought another set. I'm going to drop a mother. Gina said dumbfounded, a villa of more than 100 million, buy it if she wants to buy it. The prison guard smiled and said, of course, they paid more than 1 million bail for the three of you just to get the bail pending trial. This is because she remembered your kindness to her at the beginning, so she wanted to bail you out and pick you up. Go to Thompson to live a fairy life. Gina's moved tears flowed, and as she wiped it, she choked with sobs. Mrs. Wilson is about to catch up with Mom. The other two also looked excited, and one of them sighed with emotion, yes, Sister Gina, you helped them out of righteousness, and the old lady is also a person who knows gratitude. In the final analysis, this is the kindness that Sister Gina has planted. Gina's sense of justice immediately burst, and said solemnly, Elaine is so unfilial to her mother-in-law. I taught her that it is justified and obligatory. If she dares to bully Mrs. Wilson in the future, I will never forgive her. The prison guard hurriedly reminded, Gina. This is a rare opportunity to be released on bail. After you go out, you must make a good reform. You must never do any illegal or criminal things again. If you get caught in a fight again, not only the remaining sentence must be made up, and repeated offenders will be severely punished. Gina blurted out, ah. So serious? Of course. The prison guard said very seriously, you must be a good citizen who obeys the law, let alone fights with others. Even if you litter or spit, you may be subject to administrative punishment. After that, the prison guard added, after you go out, even if you have a criminal record, our law enforcement officers, as well as the community streets, will strictly watch your every move. If you are really messy, the law definitely won't forgive you. Gina's heart jumped in fright and hurriedly waved her hand, don't worry. After I go out, I will definitely change my mind and be a new woman. It's almost the same. The prison guard nodded in satisfaction and said, also, you will go to Mrs. Wilson's house and lived in the Thompson villa. It is the best house in Orris Hill. The life there is also a fairy-like life, so you should cherish it, or you can only come back here and sleep on the floor again, understand? Understood. Gina nodded as if pounding garlic, thinking about life in the Thompson villa in the future. She was originally just a peasant woman, and her family's conditions have not been good. She had just saved some money a few years ago and repaired the old brick house with a history of more than 20 years. The living conditions are actually no better than the cell. Her lifelong dream is to be able to move into the city and live in a 2-bedroom house, but the housing prices in Orris Hill are not cheap. She cannot afford it, so she can only think about it. But now, she actually has the opportunity to live in the luxurious villa of Thompson, which is simply a step from the bottom to the top. The three were so excited that they almost cried. At this time, the prison guard reminded, don't be eager to be happy, we still have a lot of procedures to go through, you guys cooperate, and you should be able to go out soon. Okay, okay. We will definitely cooperate. While Gina and others were going through the procedures for release on bail pending trial, Mrs. Wilson, who had been waiting at home for a long time, received a call from the hospital. On the phone, the eager doctor came up and asked her, "Hello, are you the family of Noah and Harold?" Mrs. Wilson hummed, "I am, what's the matter?" The other party hurriedly said, "Noah and Harold are both seriously injured. They are now being treated in the emergency department of our Oris Hill People's Hospital. The family members should come over." "What?" Mrs. Wilson said in surprise, "The two of them are injured. What is going on?" The other party said, "They have their limbs broken. Although they are not life-threatening, the injuries are still serious and they need human care. Come here." Mrs. Wilson panicked suddenly. Wendy on the side asked, "Grandma, what's the matter?" Mrs. Wilson said with a sad face, "The hospital called and said that your father and your brother are injured. They are in the hospital now. Let's go there." "Ah!" Wendy stood up immediately in shock, and asked nervously, "Grandma, what's the matter? Didn't Dad and brother went to teach Elaine that piece? Why are they injured and hospitalized?" Mrs. Wilson said eagerly, "Oh, don't know. Hurry up and get ready to go to the hospital." At this time, Horia, who was preparing ingredients in the kitchen, heard the movement and walked out and asked, "Mom, what's the matter? What's the matter?" Mrs. Wilson glared at her and shouted angrily, "You hurry up to change clothes and follow us to the hospital. Noah and Harold are injured and hospitalized." "Ah!" Horia was also dumbfounded, and blurted out, "What's going on? This is..." Elaine still understands when she enters the hospital, why would they return to the hospital? Mrs. Wilson shouted sharply, "Why do you have so much nonsense? Hurry up and change your clothes and come help." How dare Horia make a mistake, wiped her hands on her apron, and said in a hurry, "I'm going to change clothes." 3 generations of women from the Wilson family hurried out and went straight to Oris Hill People's Hospital. At the same time, at the gate of the Oris Hill Women's Detention Center, Gina, Tabia, and Lexi walked out of the iron gate by the high wall, holding their blankets and clothes. As soon as they left the house, Gina immediately said to the 2 people around her, Tabia and Lexi, they said, "You must not look back after you come out, or you will have to come back sooner or later, you know?" The other 2 nodded vigorously, "I know, Sister Gina." At this time, Tabia asked her, "Sister Gina, Mrs. Wilson has released us on bail, why didn't she meet us?" "That's right." Lexi also echoed, "Such a big thing is done, isn't it easy to arrange a car for us?" Gina hurriedly said, "Don't think so. It is already a great blessing for people to save us and let us go to Thompson to enjoy the blessings. How can we ask others to do everything? People, we must know how to be satisfied and be grateful." The other 2 shrugged, "Well, Sister Gina, you are right, we will know later." Gina said, "Let the 3 of us take a taxi to Thompson. It's almost time for dinner now, maybe Mrs. Wilson will hold a banquet at home and wait for us to pick up the dust." When the other 2 heard this, they were overjoyed and immediately said, "Then let's take a taxi and go there." At this moment, a Mercedes car stopped in front of the 3 of them. After the driver got out of the car, he asked the 3 of them, "May I ask the 3 ladies, if your names are Gina, Tabia, and Lexi?" Gina nodded hurriedly. "It's us. Who are you?" The driver smiled and said, "I am the driver sent by Mrs. Wilson. I am here to pick you up to Thompson. Please get in the car for a 3." After listening to the driver, Gina looked at this luxurious Mercedes car and said with excitement, "Mrs. Wilson is so kind to us. I have never been in a Mercedes car in my life." Tabia beside her couldn't help but sigh. "The best car I've ever ridden is the police car driven by Comrade Police when I was arrested." Lexi nodded again and again. "Sister Tabia, the same is true for me." The driver heard their conversation and said with a smile, 3, get in the car." "Good, good." Gina reacted first, hurriedly opened the rear door and sat in. The other two were also eager to squeeze in. The driver said hurriedly, "We only have 2 seats in the back row, so let one of the 3 take the co-pilot." Tabia was opening the rear door on the other side to get in. Lexi, who was a step slower, couldn't help but mumble, "That's a big car, there are only 2 seats in the back?" The Santana, which was driven by comrades, "In the back we can sit up to 3 people." Gina said to her in the car, "You know what a SHT, there are really only 2 seats in there, with a very large armrest in the middle, which feels like leather. Oh, it's really comfortable to put your arms on this." Tabia hurriedly sat in and said with a smile, "Really? Let me touch and feel it too." Lexi looked at the spacious and luxurious rear seats and the huge armrest box with LCD screen and control knobs, and said with envy, "I want to feel it too." Tabia waved her hand at her, "Oh, you will feel it next time. Sit ahead quickly, Mrs. Wilson is waiting for us." Lexi had no choice but to go to the co-pilot quietly. In fact, this Mercedes is not luxurious, but it is a Mercedes S-Class with a price of less than 1/5 of Rolls-Royce. However, for Gina and the others, this car is already the top luxury car they can imagine. If you put a Rolls-Royce in front of them, they might not recognize it. After all, for the most ordinary people, Mercedes's popularity is still the most common. Gina sat in the back row of this luxury Mercedes car with excitement. She couldn't help but think to herself, riding in a luxury car and living in a luxury house, is my life finally going to soar into the sky? This Mrs. Wilson is simply my noble person. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but feel proud and thought, Mrs. Wilson is so good to me, I must do more for her in the future. From now on, I will treat her as my own mother. The Mercedes drove fast and steady all the way. This car had a pass for Thompson's villa, so it sent them directly to the door of Villa A06. Afterwards, the driver used the administrator password to open the outer door of the villa, and then helped Gina and the two to enter their fingerprints and said to them, after entering the fingerprints, you can enter and exit the door directly without a key. Gina looked at the huge courtyard of the villa, shaking with joy. She asked, Master, if you are tired, can we enter the door of the house even if we swipe our fingerprints? Yes. The driver nodded and said, the gate of the yard and the front entrance of the villa are both a set of smart home systems. After fingerprints are entered, they can be used in common use. You can go in now. From now on, treat this as your home, no matter what, don't be impolite. Gina hurriedly asked, where is Mrs. Wilson? Why didn't she come out? The driver smiled and said, "Mrs. Wilson went out for a while, so she let me pick you up first. You can go first and choose a room. There are a lot of empty rooms in the villa." "Oh, great." As soon as she heard that she was going to choose a room, Gina rushed over with her own blanket. Not to be outdone, the other two hurriedly followed behind and ran to the door. Gina tried to swipe her fingerprints on the doorknob, and the door of the room opened. She pushed the door in excitement, and when she entered, she was shocked by the extremely luxurious interior. This villa is, after all, the best and largest villa within the urban area of Orris Hill, and it has undergone a very luxurious decoration. The decoration style is open and ostentatious, and the ultimate moneyism is exposed everywhere. Therefore, Gina and the others just took a look, and they were completely crazy. Before coming, they had also imagined what the inside of Mrs. Wilson's villa would look like. However, even their most daring guesses are far less than the actual situation of this villa. Lexi exclaimed from the side, "What kind of villa is this? The palace is just like this, right?" "Bullshit." Tabia blurted out, "This is much more luxurious than the palace. Look at that sofa, it's so beautiful. I'm going to lie down." With that, the person has already ran over. "I want to go too." Lexi saw Tabia go, and when she was unwilling, she hurriedly dropped the blanket and ran all the way. This sofa is a European-style top-level sofa imported from Italy. It is exclusively for the European royal family. The original owner of the villa imported it directly from abroad for more than 1 million. Different from classical furniture, classical itself is expensive on wood, which is not comfortable for practical use. It is equivalent to buying a set of gold bricks as a mattress. Expensive is really expensive, but hard is also really hard. Therefore, classical furniture is more like a financial product. But this European-style furniture is different. It is mainly based on the brand, the workmanship, the extraordinary luxury appearance and the meticulous comfort. Therefore, this kind of sofa is actually a high-end luxury consumable. After the two pounced on the sofa, they also forgot to take off their shoes, so they directly stepped on the surface of the sofa with their feet, turning over and looking for the most comfortable posture. Gina hurriedly said, "Hey, slow down, don't sit down on someone else's sofa. And the soles of your shoes are dirty too." Lexi smiled and said, "Oh, it's okay, don't you tell me, let us be like our own home, and I will wear shoes on it when I'm at home." Tabia said excitedly, "Sister Gina, come and feel it, this sofa is so comfortable. I think the chair the Jade Emperor sits in the sky is not as comfortable as this." "Really?" Gina said with a smile, "I think this sofa is really good, it's very grand. I'll try it." After speaking, she stepped to the single-person sofa and sat down. "Ouch! It's so soft." Gina was lying on the sofa, her whole body trapped in the soft leather, dancing happily. Lexi lying on the side said hurriedly, "Oh, Sister Gina, you haven't tried it while lying down, this sofa is more comfortable lying down." After finishing speaking, she hurriedly stepped on the sofa to stand up, pulled Gina, and said flatly, "Sister Gina, come and try it. Make sure you lie down and you can't bear it." Gina lay down and tried it, and said with joy, "Oh, this is really great. I have the heart to sleep on the sofa later. Lexi smiled and said, the sofas are so comfortable, the bed will definitely be more comfortable. Tabia hurriedly asked, then shall we go to see the room? This villa is so big, we can definitely guarantee one room for 3 people. Gina said, well, let's wait for the old lady to come back and let her arrange a room for us. Lexi curled her lips, I can't wait. The villa rooms must be large or small, some facing south, some facing north. I want a south-facing, bigger one, and I can get some sunshine every day. Tabia said hurriedly, I want to face south too. As soon as Gina heard this, she immediately jumped up from the sofa and ran up the stairs, saying, no. I have to choose first. Mrs. Wilson didn't know that when she went to the hospital, her house was already occupied by Gina. She and Wendy rushed to the hospital in a hurry and found Noah and Harold. The father and son were already half mummies wrapped in plaster. Although neither of them is life-threatening, they fractured their limbs, so that they completely lost the ability to move, and could only lie in bed and wail. As soon as Mrs. Wilson entered the door, she was shocked and anxious when she saw the 2 of them like this. She hurriedly stepped forward and asked, Noah, Harold, you guys, what's wrong with you? When Noah and Harold saw the old lady coming, they couldn't control their tears and wept loudly. Especially Harold, crying very sadly. Wendy burst into tears all at once, and asked pitifully, Dad, brother, how did you become like this? Harold's eyes were red, and he cried and said, Grandma, Dad and I were scrapped by Regnar's people. Grandma, I'm so wrong. I kindly served Regnar. He was not only not grateful, but also let his people beat me and Dad like this, they are just $tards. Noah also sighed, Mom, people say that tigers are the only companions to tigers. I understand today. We can't accompany people like Regnar, so we must keep our distance from him in the future. Mrs. Wilson said eagerly, what on earth happened? Tell me clearly. Only then did Noah tell what happened. Only then did Mrs. Wilson understand that when they kidnapped Elaine, they also tied up a transnational fraudster. The most annoying thing is that Regnar, a scheming man, was also deceived by a transnational fraudster. In order to please the other party, he interrupted the limbs of her son and grandson. Hearing this, Mrs. Wilson burst into tears, patting her thighs and howling, God doesn't have eyes. If you don't trouble Elaine today, that transnational scammer will definitely take Elaine's family. People have broken their homes. But at this time, you just took the initiative to solve the trouble for Elaine, and then caused the trouble to yourself. Today Elaine was supposed to go to hell, but it turned out to be bad. You directly help Interpol and take the fraud. The crime is caught, which is equivalent to helping Elaine completely for free. When Harold heard that the truth was like that, he cried louder and went crazy and said, I didn't expect that we would end up getting the Elaine for nothing. It's really a big loss. Harold has never suffered such a big loss in his entire life. And it was a big loss that she took the initiative to eat. Wendy, you slapped me twice. I feel so uncomfortable in my heart. Wendy can only persuade, brother, since the matter has already happened, don't think about it. The key now is whether your and Dad's injuries are not serious and can you recover. Harold choked and said, recovery can be made, but it takes a while. The doctor said that we may not have the ability to take care of ourselves for several months. We have to eat, drink and sleep in the bed. We may have to stay in the hospital and have to be accompanied by a caregiver. Mrs. Wilson hurriedly asked, Harold, where did Mr. Regner go? He was fooled by the scammer, so that he was dismissed. Later, the identity of the scammer was revealed. Didn't he give you any compensation or give you a statement? Gave a SHT. Noah said angrily from the side, Regner, that old dog, was also directly arrested by Interpol. It is estimated that he will be out of luck. Mrs. Wilson exclaimed, Ah! Then you two got the meal in vain? Noah naturally knew what the old lady's idea was, and he thought to himself, what Mom means, she must think that Harold and I were accidentally injured by Regner's people, and Regner has to make some compensation to make it reasonable. After all, my mother is looking at money. Thinking of this, Noah was a little depressed, and said, Mom, you have to pay us the hospitalization fee first, let us transfer to the inpatient department. As for Regner, if he comes out in the future, I will ask him for an explanation. Okay. Mrs. Wilson nodded and said, I'll pay the bill. With that, Mrs. Wilson turned around and left the ward. She stepped to the collection office and said, I'm here to pay Noah Wilson and Harold Wilson's hospital bill. The other party inquired for a while and said, the incurred treatment fee is $26,700, and another $80,000 of hospitalization deposit will be needed, which is a total of $10,06,700. Mrs. Wilson couldn't help but feel some pain. Although this $100,000 is not a lot, it is not too small. If this money is not compensated by Regner 100 times, I really can't sleep in my dreams. Thinking, Mrs. Wilson still took out a bank card from her wallet and handed it to the other party. Come on, swipe the card. The other party took the card, swiped it on the POS machine, entered the amount, and said to the old lady, the password. Mrs. Wilson immediately pressed the password and confirmed, but the POS machine never automatically issued an order. The staff member in charge of the cash register took a look and said, your card is frozen, please change one. What? Frozen? Mrs. Wilson frowned, how is it possible? I have tens of millions in my card. At first, after Regner helped the Wilson family repay the debt and the bank unsealed the previously sealed property, Mrs. Wilson returned part of her deposit. After that, Regner invested in the Wilson family, and Mrs. Wilson also found a way to find some companies that helped people take the account and put the money in her card. Now she has more than 20 million cash in her card, which has always been her pension money left for you. Now, the other party suddenly told her that this card was frozen, and she suddenly became nervous. The other party didn't know if there were tens of millions in her card, and she said impatiently, I can't control how much money you have in the card, but the POS machine gave me feedback that the card has been frozen. If you have a problem, call the bank. Mrs. Wilson was too shocked, and quickly took out her mobile phone and called the bank. After waiting for a long time for the manual service, she hurriedly asked, why did your bank freeze my card? What right do you have to do this? The other party patiently said, I'm sorry. It shows that your card is indeed frozen. The reason for the freezing is because your creditor filed a property preservation with the court. Mrs. Wilson scolded angrily, I have paid off all my debts a long time ago, how can there be any creditors? The other party was also a little angry, Madam, please speak up properly and don't swear. I can see the property preservation execution document. The document shows that your creditor Regner Wu initiated property preservation and he helped you repay the amount before. 10 million debts, and tens of millions of funds invested in your company, but now he has to withdraw all the loans and investments, so he has frozen your bank card. What? Mrs. Wilson suddenly felt thunderous. Did Regner divest? This. Doesn't it mean that the Wilson family is going back to the previous situation of nothing and in debt? Seeing that Mrs. Wilson stood blankly on the spot, the hospital toll collector asked, Are you still paying? If you don't pay, we may ask you to discharge the 2 patients. Mrs. Wilson immediately took out another bank card, chose one, handed it to the other party, and said, Try this again. The toll collector nodded and took it and swiped it. After Mrs. Wilson entered the password, he shook his head and said, This is also frozen. Then try this one again. Mrs. Wilson passed all of her cards in succession, but the reminder that none of the cards was working. This made Mrs. Wilson's whole body very desperate. Just when she was at a loss, a phone call came and she hurriedly connected, only to hear the other person say, Hello madam, I am calling to inform you about the enterprises, villas, vehicles, antique paintings, etc. under your name. All real estate has been sealed by the court. Please repay Mr. Regner's investment as soon as possible, otherwise, all your assets will enter the auction process. Mrs. Wilson cried and said, You are trying to force me to death. The other party has an official attitude and said, Sorry, we are also acting in accordance with the regulations. The amount of debt claimed by your creditors has far exceeded your assets, so if you do not repay the debt in time, we will take action against you. Mrs. Wilson choked and said, My son and grandson are now in hospital. I need to pay for the hospitalization, right? Sorry, you are now a negative equity holder, and if you have money, you also need to repay Mr. Regner first. Mrs. Wilson shouted angrily, What is the difference between you and drinking human blood? Sorry, it is justified to pay off debts. Mrs. Wilson roared, God! Your mother, go to hell with her. Bullying an old lady like me, you can't die with peace. Having said that, Mrs. Wilson immediately hung up the phone angrily. Here, the toll collector said embarrassingly, Old lady, are you still paying the fee? If you don't pay, please get out of the way first, because the people behind have to pay the fee. Mrs. Wilson said with a black face, Stop paying. I can't afford to eat, so I have to pay. After that, she immediately called Regner with her mobile phone. Although she didn't know what was going on with Regner, she still had a try and dialed his phone. Unexpectedly, the call was quickly connected. After Regner answered the phone, he asked in a bad tone, Old lady, what's the matter with you? Mrs. Wilson hurriedly said flatteringly, Oh, Mr. Regner, that's it, Mr. Regner, why did I hear that you are going to divest suddenly? Didn't you say that you want to cooperate for a long time? You suddenly withdraw like this. But what did we do? Is there any misunderstanding in this? Regner said coldly, there is no misunderstanding, I just completely lost confidence in your family, so I don't expect you to do anything for me. In that case, what else should I do if not hurry up and divest? Mrs. Wilson immediately pleaded with pity, Mr. Regner. Did the things my son and grandson did today make you feel unsatisfied? If they are not doing well enough, just say it, I will let them perform better next time. Please give our family another chance. Regner said impatiently, I had given you the opportunity, but the key is that you were not up to it. So don't come to beg me now. Mrs. Wilson was desperate in her heart. Suddenly thinking about the villa, she hurriedly asked, Mr. Regner, we signed an agreement about the villa. You agreed to lend it to us to live for 10 years. If we can't go back, our family will have to sleep on the streets. Regner sneered, of course the villa. You can live for a while, but you have to make it clear to your son that if he dares to divorce Horia, then I will kick your family out immediately. Mrs. Wilson said angrily, Mr. Regner, you don't need us to deal with Charlie anymore. Why do you have to let my son stay with the dirty woman Horia? You know, men hate most. What is being cuckolded by his own woman, as long as Horia is still there, my son will never pass this hurdle. Regner said contemptuously, your son can't pass this hurdle. It has nothing to do with me. Horia, I gave her my words. If you don't want to, you can move out of Thompson and leave the villa to Horia. When Mrs. Wilson heard this, she immediately realized that she couldn't say more. If she continued to talk to Regner, she might not even be able to keep the right to reside in the villa. Mrs. Wilson has experienced the taste of sleeping on the street, so she never wants to have such a hard life again. She couldn't help but secretly thought, as long as I can keep the residence right of Thompson Villa, even if my son always wears a green hat on his head, I can accept it. I am so old that I can't live for many years. In the next few years, I don't want to suffer that kind of suffering anymore. So, she could only grit her teeth and agree, saying, Mr. Regner, don't worry. I will definitely keep Horia in Wilson's house. Regner snorted coldly, forget we are acquainted. Don't call to bother me anymore. Mrs. Wilson hurriedly asked, Mr. Regner, don't hang up in a hurry, I have one more thing I want to ask you for help. Say it. Mrs. Wilson said hurriedly, my son and grandson are both seriously injured, and now there is no money for treatment. Can you please lend us hundreds of thousands for help? Lend you hundreds of thousands? Regner said disdainfully, don't forget, your Wilson Group still owes me tens of millions. At this time, you still lick your face and ask me to borrow money. How thick? Mrs. Wilson cried and said, but my son and grandson can't just bear it like this. Regner said, I heard that they are no longer in danger, and the plaster is also put on. You can take them home and cultivate slowly. Mrs. Wilson choked up and said, but neither of them has the ability to take care of themselves. It will cost a lot of money to hire a caregiver or something. Regner smiled and said, well, you don't have to worry about them. I will tell the hospital about their treatment fees. You don't need to pay them. You can take them back at any time. In addition, I have already given it to you. 3 helpers have been arranged. You can wait. Then these 3 people will help you. Mrs. Wilson felt a glimmer of humanity in Regner at this moment, and thought, in any case, Mr. Orville can still keep the villa for us to live in, and arrange for 3 helpers to come over. This is not bad. Maybe he was really angry, so he made the decision to divest. Maybe he will reinvest in the Wilson family when he gets better in the future. Thinking of this, Mrs. Wilson hurriedly said gratefully, "Thank you so much." At this moment, Elaine's situation is also very tragic. She was first sent to the best orthopedic hospital in Orris Hill by Mr. Regner's men, and then an expert was urgently arranged to perform joint surgery on her knee. In fact, for injuries like hers, the best way is to undergo surgery in the shortest possible time. After fixing the knees with steel plates and nails, they are wrapped in plaster for protection. In this way, the best recovery effect can also be obtained. After the operation, she returned to the ward, where Orville's men were already waiting for her. The subordinate opened his mouth and said to Elaine, "Ms. Elaine, you have done a lot to arrest Roxa this time, so all your treatment costs this time will be borne by our agency." Elaine looked at the right leg that was put in plaster again, and she burst into tears in discomfort, and choked up, "Comrade Interpol, you can't let that be, tch go anyway." The man nodded and said solemnly, "Ms. Elaine, don't worry, we will bring her to justice." He said, "By the way, Ms. Elaine, for your personal safety, I have to remind you of something else." As soon as Elaine heard that it was related to her personal safety, she said hurriedly, "Say." The man said seriously, "Roxa is a transnational fraudster. Behind her is a huge fraud group spanning dozens of countries. Although we have arrested Roxa this time, there are still many of Roxa's comrades who have to be arrested, so you must not tell anyone about this matter, otherwise, it is very likely that you will be retaliated by this fraud group." When Elaine heard this, she burst into tears. "Mom, this is endless. It was because of this thing last time that I was taken into the detention center. I suffered a lot and my leg was broken. Now my leg was just right, I haven't had time to jump for 2 days, or because of this, it is broken again. You said they will come to retaliate against me next time, then what can I do in the future? Why do I have such a hard life?" The man hurriedly comforted, "Ms. Elaine, don't get excited. This time is different from the last time." Elaine cried and asked, "What's the difference? Didn't you still catch them clean? As long as they have a comrade outside, it is possible to retaliate against me. And this time I got their boss Roxa in. Now, they will not let me go. They interrupted my leg before, and might kill me." The person explained, "This is Ms. Elaine. We are still very cautious. The arrest of Roxa has not leaked any information. As long as we do not disclose it, and you do not disclose this matter, no one will think of it. You can go on to live a normal life." Elaine breathed a sigh of relief, and hurriedly asked, "But you see how miserable I am now, my leg is broken, my face is beaten and swollen into a pig's head, and my hair is choked off by that bee, tch. How can I explain it to my family?" The man hurriedly said, "In fact, this matter is easy to explain. How did you explain to your family the last time you entered the detention center?" Elaine said, I told them that I was tricked into an MLM organization, and then I was taken into the detention center as an MLM employee." The man nodded and said, "You tell your family this time that members of several MLM organizations deliberately designed to retaliate against you, so they beat you like this." "I think they should believe it." Elaine sighed, "Hey, this is the only way to do things now." The man took out Elaine's mobile phone and handed it to her. "Ms. Elaine, you can contact your family. To avoid suspicion, I will also leave." Elaine nodded, looked at the person in a flustered manner, and exhorted, "Comrade Interpol, please be sure to keep things alive today. Don't let Rox's associates know that I got her in, otherwise my life is definitely gone, please." The man said seriously, "Don't worry, we must keep it strictly confidential." After that, the man said in a convenient way, "Ms. Elaine, take care of your injuries, I will leave now." After the man left, Elaine picked up the phone and quickly called Claire. As soon as the phone was connected, she immediately cried and said, "Claire, my dear girl, come and see Mom in the hospital. Mom's leg is broken again." "Why do you think Mom's fate?" Claire was about to get off work. She was shocked when she heard this, and blurted out, "Mom, what's wrong with you? How did you break your leg again?" Elaine cried and said, "Don't mention it. Mom let the people of the MLM organization take revenge. They caught me and gave me a fat beating. My hair was smashed and my legs are broken up." "Ah?" Claire hurriedly asked, "Did you call the police?" Elaine cried and said, "Reported, Comrade Police has arrested them, come and see Mom." Claire asked, "Which hospital are you in? I'll be there." Elaine choked and said, "I'm in this Oris Hill Orthopedic Hospital, come on." Claire blurted out, "Okay, Mom, wait a minute, I'll come." Claire hung up Elaine's phone at this time, and while drove to the hospital, he hurriedly called Charlie. Charlie had already returned home at this time, watching TV in the living room pretending to be a casual person. Jacob also came back, and he was about to make a pot of tea and have a drink with Charlie. Charlie received a call from Claire, already knowing what was going on, but still pretending not to know. He asked, "My wife, are you off work?" Claire hurriedly said, "Husband, where are you?" Charlie casually said, "I'm at home." Claire asked again, "Where is Dad?" Charlie said, "Dad is also at home and just came back." Claire hurriedly said, "Then you and Dad should drive to the orthopedic hospital." "Mom, she is in the hospital." "I'm driving there too, see you at the hospital." Charlie pretended to be surprised and asked, "What? Did Mom go to the hospital again? What's the matter?" Claire said with a bit of sobbing, "Mom, she was retaliated by the people from the MLM organization. Those people broke her leg, but don't know the specifics, so I have to go there." Charlie said hurriedly, "That's okay. Then Dad and I will go out and rush over." "Okay, see you in the hospital." Jacob was preparing to make tea. Hearing this, he asked in surprise, "Charlie, what's the matter?" Charlie said, "The people of the MLM organization retaliated against Mom, and the leg is broken. She is at the hospital, let us go there." Jacob asked in surprise, "Elaine's leg is broken again? What you said is true. Charlie said awkwardly, Dad, how do I think about what you mean? You seem quite happy. Jacob said seriously, Charlie, it is reasonable to say that I really shouldn't be gloating, but when I think about Elaine's legs in plaster and crutches, I just want to laugh inexplicably. Isn't it a bit unkind to say that, but ha ha ha. Charlie shook his head helplessly, you also know that you are not kind. When you see Mom later, don't laugh. Noah nodded, don't worry, I can hold it back. After that, he hurriedly put down the tea set and urged, my son-in-law, let's go quickly, I can't wait to see how terrible she is now. When Charlie and Jacob arrived at the hospital, Claire had already reached. When Jacob and his son-in-law came to the ward, Elaine was holding Claire's hand, and the crying could be heard outside the room. Claire was also wiping tears distressfully. Although Charlie heard that his mother-in-law had suffered a lot today, he had been outside at the time and had not entered, so he didn't see what was going on inside. Moreover, after Elaine was brought out by Orville's men, she was directly sent to the hospital, and Charlie did not see her face either. Seeing Elaine with a blue nose and swollen face and missing a piece of hair on her forehead, he couldn't help sighing in his heart, oh, mother-in-law is really miserable. This time she was in this way. It was really a disaster. The ghost knew that Cynthia would suddenly run away. Looking for her? Seeing Charlie's arrival, Elaine felt wronged and finally regarded as a catharsis, crying and said, good son-in-law, Mom is so miserable. After speaking, she cried out of breath. Charlie hurried forward, pretending to be concerned and asked, Mom, what's wrong with you? Elaine waved her hand and wiped her tears. Hey, I can't mention it, I can't mention it, it's a bitter tear. Looking at her like this, Jacob didn't dare to laugh even if he wanted to. He just stood there motionless or spoken. Elaine glanced at him, and said angrily, Jacob, what are you doing here? Jacob hurriedly said, you said what I am here to do, of course I am here to see you. See me? Elaine said angrily, I think you came to see me and laugh at me. Jacob hummed in his heart, hey, I really made you right, but I can't admit it. So, he can only say embarrassingly, what are you talking about it? Even if we are separated or divorced, we will be together for half a lifetime. You were bullied in this way. I must feel sorry for you. Elaine glared at him, you feel bad, you? Don't know what you old dog are thinking, you want me to be lame forever. Jacob did not expect Elaine to guess so accurately, but he did not dare to respond. Fortunately, Claire on the side said at this time, Mom, don't quarrel with Dad. He came to see you out of concern. Elaine said angrily, I don't need his care. After speaking, she looked at Charlie again, and said bitterly, good son-in-law, this time I was tossed by the same group of people who engaged in MLM last time. Mom is really in bad luck. This time I will be fighting for a few months with the plaster, not only I can't cook for you, but also won't be able to go anywhere in the future. The days to come will be extremely depressing. Charlie understood Elaine's meaning at once. So he immediately said openly, Mom, in this case, I'll cook the food in the future. In addition, I will transfer you 100,000 in pocket money. You are really bored during this time. You can buy something online. Just play with things and it's time to manage and be patient. When Elaine heard this, she was immediately moved. In fact, she didn't expect Charlie to give her money at all. She just felt that Charlie had promised her that he would pay $30,000 a month for food and another $10,000 for the hard cost of cooking. She did not dare to deduct the food cost, but the hard work should be taken for granted. But now she is limping again, and she can't buy vegetables and cook. No one can do this work. She was afraid she couldn't ask Charlie for the $10,000. That's why she wanted to pretend to be pitiful and hope that Charlie won't deduct her $10,000 for hard work. But she didn't expect him to be so generous. He would directly give her $100,000. Hearing this, Elaine immediately felt refreshed, and was also full of gratitude to Charlie, and said hurriedly, "Hey, you are really a good son-in-law of your mother. With a son-in-law like you, Mother has cultivated blessings for several lifetimes." Claire was secretly speechless when he heard this. The reason for the tongue is that she discovered that when her mother said this, her attitude was really sincere. It seemed that she was really from the bottom of her heart, rather than just saying two polite words. Charlie didn't expect that $100,000 would be able to move Elaine into this, and he couldn't help but chuckled secretly, thinking, "I knew this superb mother-in-law, so I can send her away with such a small amount of money. I would not have to worry if I gave her some money." However, if you think about it, this matter is not that simple. In the past, Elaine controlled the family's financial power, not to mention, at least $2 million in his hands. At that time, if she was given more than $200,000, she would really not be able to send her. However, after being sacked by Horia and spending a few days in the detention center, her starting point has been reduced a lot, and her appetite is not as great as before. Charlie was also very straightforward. After talking here, he immediately transferred $100,000 to Elaine's card. When Elaine received the receipt message from the bank, she immediately beamed and said happily, "It's my son-in-law who loves me." At this time, the doctor just came in for the rounds. Claire hurriedly asked her, "Doctor, can I ask you, how is Mom's situation now?" The female doctor explained, "The patient is here mainly to recover and recuperate. This does take a while, and there is nothing else to pay attention to. You can let her under observation in the hospital, or you can take her home for recuperation." Claire said, "Mom, why don't we take you home for training, so that it will be convenient for us to take care of you? Besides, it will be the new year soon, and staying in the hospital is too deserted." Elaine nodded again and again. "This hospital feels very bad. I don't want to wait for a minute. Anyway, my leg is not broken for the first time. I already have experience. I will wait until my bottle of fluid infusion is finished later. Just take me home." At the same time, in Oris Hill People's Hospital, Noah and Harold were forced to leave the ward because they could not pay the hospital fee. The father and son were lying on the mobile cart in the hospital, and Mrs. Wilson and Wendy pushed them to the parking lot together. When they came, it was Wendy who drove the new Bentley bought at home. The Bentley is not an ambulance, and there is no way for them to lie down safely, so they can only find an ambulance to transport them. However, it costs money to find an ambulance. The family of 4 has no cash on them, and all bank cards and electronic payment accounts have been frozen. Now they are really penniless, and they don't know how to pay for the parking fee after driving out of the hospital. Just when they were at a loss, two middle-aged men stepped over and said, "Is it Mrs. Wilson?" Mrs. Wilson said in a hurry, "It's me, who are you?" The other party said, "We are sent by Mr. Regner, for the sake of your family's pitifulness, arranged an ambulance for you to take the four of you back to the villa." Mrs. Wilson breathed a sigh of relief and said gratefully, "That's great. Could you arrange an ambulance to take my son and my grandson back, and I will drive back together with my granddaughter." The other party waved his hand, "Sorry, you two have to take the ambulance back as well, because this Bentley was bought with our President Wu's money, so he asked us to take the car back." Mrs. Wilson heard the other party's words, and she felt as if she was struck by lightning. "Just stand on the spot," she said helplessly and begging, "Two brothers, please call Mr. Regner and say that our family is exhausted now. I beg him to show mercy and leave us a little escape. Leave the Bentley to us." After speaking, she quickly added, "Even if you just borrow us to use it for a few years." The other side said blankly, "I'm sorry, Mr. Regner said that a family like yours really can't come to the table, so he doesn't want to have any interests or entanglements with you anymore. The villa allows you to live in, it is already his. The greatest kindness, if you don't know what is good or bad, then I'm sorry, the villa, he can also take it back at any time." Mrs. Wilson's heart throbbed for a while, but at this time, she did not dare to say any rebellious words. Wendy on the side couldn't help choking, "Please tell Mr. Regner again, you two, look at the way my dad and my brother are now, our family has no credit and hard cash, and there is fatigue without hard work." The other party said coldly, "If you are still talking so much nonsense, then the villa is really gone." Mrs. Wilson hurriedly said at this time, "Wendy, stop talking. Get out of the car, hand over the keys quickly." Wendy was extremely angry, but she did not dare to continue to resist, so she cried and took out the car key and handed it to the other party. The man took the key and said to the Wilson family, "Okay, the ambulance has been arranged for you. Your family of 5 should go back quickly. We will drive away now." After speaking, the two got into the Bentley car and directly started the car to leave the scene. At this time, an old ambulance drove to the family and stopped. The driver lowered the window and asked, "Are you going to Thompson?" "Yes." Mrs. Wilson nodded sullenly, and said, "Thank you, please take the 4 of us to Thompson A06. The driver and a young man in the co-pilot got out of the car and helped them lift Noah and Harold up there, and then said to Mrs. Wilson and Wendy, "You two will squeeze in too." Mrs. Wilson nodded and said to Wendy, "Wendy, this ambulance is a bit tall, please help Grandma." Wendy wiped her tears, rubbed her red eyes again, choked up, and said, "Okay, Grandma." Horia hurriedly followed, and said flatly, "Mom, I will help you too." Mrs. Wilson opened her hand and yelled angrily, "Get out! Don't touch me!" Horia didn't expect that the old lady suddenly got angry with her, and asked a little aggrieved, "Mom, where did I offend you?" Mrs. Wilson gritted her teeth and cursed, "You have offended me everywhere. If it weren't for you, our family wouldn't be what it is today. If it weren't for you, they wouldn't be able to beat you up for more than 10 million. If it wasn't for you, Noah will not always be ridiculed by Elaine. If it weren't for you, Noah would not be able to do anything to Elaine. He and Harold are so miserable now, this is all your harm. Horia cried all at once. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.